láyé olúgbọ́n mo ké borùn méje ẹ ò máa kọ yí lórin láyé àrẹ̀sà mo ké borùn mẹ́fà ẹ ò máa kọ yí lórin láyé ìsẹ̀yìn èmi ra kókò mo ra rán mo ra sányán bàbá sọ àfọ̀lẹ́ ló lè pélé.
Hello everyone, my name is Adiemo Adegbemiga and I welcome you to my new Yoruba Abrahamic YouTube video. Today I want to touch on the word Chaldean or the Chaldean according to Abrahamic perspective or Abrahamic context, particularly from the Bible. The very people of these Chaldeans in ancient or in antiquity, why Abraham was also titled as Chaldean, being the same settlement known as Oromila, according to endless evidences I was able to come up in my previous videos, and also the very locations of these same Chaldean people before the recent era. The term Chaldean is actually an African word which was used to describe some random Abrahamic figures or renowned people, or even collectively as group in different Abrahamic verses, and which is originally basically come from the Yoruba people's prideful way of eulogy or slogan in a sort of an appraisal to their tribe's brilliancy or intelligence across all stages or field of life as people or as a tribe. The word Chaldean itself are of two combinations from different Yoruba words. Number one is Asha and the other one is Ede. When the Yoruba say Asha, Asha basically is an umbrella of the principle of life that governs the life of the Yoruba people. It can also reference to something we know as tradition or culture and norms. And when we're talking about Ede, is in reference to their language, the beauty of their language, the uprightness of their language, the foundation influences of their language over other tribes and stuff like that, which also resonated to why the Yoruba people now oftenly pride themselves whenever they said Awala ni Asha or Awala Lasha, Awala Lidi. Is a common slogan among them since about half a million years ago till today, and which can basically be interpreted as we are the pride of all tradition, our pride, and also the people with the most upright language in the entire world. Like in summary, it can be said like we the Yoruba, we are the one who possess the utmost and brilliancy in all heritage, and has the most upright culture, best in language, in education, in spirituality, and also take lead in all forms of good character when it comes to be humble, to be easy, to have a listening ear, to be as in stuff like that. These are all collectively what this Chaldean basically mean. Therefore, each time you try to address a man as Alasha, Aledeyan, or a sort of Chaldean from the Abrahamic perspective, you are actually identifying such person with sort of brilliancy in praise or an intelligence as an individual or as a reference praise to his collective tribe. So that is what Chaldean also mean. And from the Yoruba people, the understanding of the word Chaldean among them has always been the ancient thing, has always been part of their culture, has always been what they see as a common word which they speak each time they do something extraordinary, brilliant among them, which also resulted to why the Abrahamic text too across the Bible, also particularly in generality, describe the Chaldean as special people who are special in astronology, that is physics or culture or science, who are special in terms of spiritualism, that has to do with their way of life, divine culture and stuff, and also special in terms of divination, which is righteous way of life, Iwa Omoluabi, and which we all know that all these regarding the Yoruba people originated from the Yoruba people's traditional way of life, which is Ifa Eledumare Oracle, the teaching corpus of Ifa Eledumare, which they believe as people to have come from the heaven above. So let's talk about the true African location of these Chaldean people thousands of years ago. The word mainstream teachings, or the common one you see from the Western teachers who claim to be part of the Abrahamic system, They also collectively agree that indeed the Chaldean people truly dwell at the left bank of the Euphrates River. Listen very carefully, the left bank of the Euphrates River, which bounding a desert. But this claim is partially true and also came with huge lies. I will break it down. But before we break it down, the common question we need to ask ourselves that the ancient Euphrates River, which the Bible identify with, which the Abrahamic people identify with, or the Torah text identify with, is it the very same Euphrates River that we now see in today's Middle East? Because based on prehistorical evidences that surfaced online, especially from the 16th century, the answer is no. The Euphrates River of ancient times is different from what we are seeing today. They don't have anything in common. To set the record straight, the real river Ephraim, which the Abrahamic Torah reference to in ancient times, is actually today's River Niger in West Africa. A River Niger, which can also be alternatively said as the Negro River, or Anago River, or Aniogo River, or Aomologo River, which are actually identifying with the Yoruba people according to the 1700 map and also the 1745 map. And this is the river that actually stretches from today's point of Nigeria, from Yoruba land, from Ile-Ife area, from Lagos State, Ile-Ife area, from at the left hand side, like it is said in modern time, truly, that it started the evidence of the Chaldean people being closer to the Euphrates River, that truly the Euphrates River is today's west, the River Niger, and truly the location started from the left hand side, where the same Yoruba people of Ile-Ife and Oyo then stretch across to the extreme end of West Africa, where random Yoruba people who sprang out of Ile-Ife did migrated to gradually to the earlier uniformly dominated West Africa, long before random non-Yorubas from North Africa also rejoined them after the fall of North Africa. Because after the fall of North Africa, not only the Yoruba people or the Israelites reverted the migration to West Africa, some of the North African people also fled for their life. So as from them, people like the Fulbe, so as from them, they intermarry with some of the West African people. This is why we now have Yorubas and non-Yoruba. But the fact still means that the Yoruba people still dominated West Africa directly or indirectly, directly as a tribe and indirectly as a sub-tribe, which has equally became a sovereign individual in the new tribe later onward. So we should, in further breakdown understanding, Nile River is today's Tigris River as the Abrahamic text understood it. Today's Niger, Negro, and Neogo West Africa River is also today's Ephraim River. Likewise, why you can see it at that River Niger or the Ephraim River, that is also where Judah's kingdom is. Because like I said, that Judah's kingdom is in reference to Eje Oduduwa legacy. Because Oduduwa wasn't just a king in today's Nigeria, so people should stop limiting today's Nigeria as Ife kingdom. Where we said Olu Ife or Ife, the entire West Africa used to be dubbed as the Ife area in antiquity. So when we are talking about Ife kingdom stretches across Dahomey. This is why Judah kingdom is in between Ile-Ife of today's Nigeria and Dahomey. So that is what we should know. Today, modern scholars from the West who teaches Abrahamic book, they commonly argue that the original Euphrates River, that we know at the ancient time is being referred to in the Bible, can only be found in today's Mesopotamian region in Middle East, and also in reflections of those who are living there today, who are now the pale Caucasian-looking figures or group from Persian land. And we know for sure this is completely false, based on undeniable reality that people oftenly overlooked. Like in realistic, you should know that the dwellers of those Middle East today doesn't represent the ancient dwellers of the past. The ancient dwellers of Middle East were actually black people, and they were not even referenced to as Middle Eastern, and they were known as the Northeastern African people, which dwelled in the extension or an annex of Egypt. Because if you check out, I don't even want to digress too much. The entire existence of the modern day Middle Eastern started after the fall of North Africa, after the Pale Arabs successfully overthrown the North Africa, stretching from the land of the Mesopotamian straight down to today's Northwest Africa, which are the Phoenician area to Morocco and Co. That is when the history of Middle East began to exist. Prior to then, the places were actually barren land. So it's impossible for those people who just came there as a result of invasion to represent the history within that area. That is number one. Number two is that if we go to the same Abrahamic book that we see of today, the same Abrahamic book basically made us to realize that the entire Caucasian people, which also included the modern day Middle Eastern and that claim to be the Chaldean within Middle East, they are actually people from a guy known as the Madai, one of the son of Japite, the half-caste, the Caucasian-looking figure, the hot child of Noah. And we know Japite was never, and Japite isn't the chosen man out of the three sons of Noah. The sons of Noah that was chosen, who took her like in tradition, in legacy of his father, was Shem. And Shem can be said to be a man from West Africa, from Yoruba land. Ham can be said to be the founder of the North Africa, while Japhet is the father of the European, the Pale Arab, everything. So Japhet was never the chosen tribe among. This is what the entire world agreed to today. So which basically means Abraham could never have come from Japhet, was never a man, because Japhet, the ancestor of Abraham, is not a white man, he's from Shem. Because the very Bible we talk about also describe Abraham too as a Chaldean. So Abraham was a Chaldean based on the book of Anacalypso that was written by Again. Abraham was a Chaldean. He was a Negro from West Africa, and he was part of the founding father that brought the whole system of education, philosophy, astrology. Like I said in one of my previous books, in the book of Anacalypso Volume 2 by Godfrey Higgins in 1772, I think it's better off page 363 to 364. He stated in clear terms, I'm not good in reading out the book, I'm just giving you a reference. If you actually want to go deep, most of you that have the book, you can read more in details. But in summary, he made it detailed that Abraham was actually a Chaldean, and that is for a fact, because the Abrahamic books, particularly the Torah or the Bible, ascertain that he is actually a Chaldean. But who is Abraham among the Yoruba people? Like I said, the man is Orunmila, Baba Agbomeregun, who is indigenous, known as among the traditional belief that he has an upright divine way of life, was perfect in his way of life. This is why they said Abraham was a Chaldean. Orunmila was man of an upright culture. He was divine. That is where the idea of Chaldean come from. So Chaldean is never a thing of a name of a tribe. It's like a characteristics of some particular people from a particular region. So it's never a name that were meant to be ascribed as a name of a land, name of ethnic. These are one of the heroes, how they all got it stronger in their attempt to fabricate more lies outside Africa. So this is why. So Abraham was actually a Chaldean. It's actually indicated that Abraham was a man with an upright culture, who is divine in his way of life. So Chaldea is particularly a character-based attribute of people. The book of the Anacalypso also said this Abraham was also a Negro. A Negro is now we can reference to the heritage of a tribe. He said Abraham is a Chaldean, is an attribute. Then Abraham is also a Negro. A Negro is a pride, because a Negro is a Negro. And when we are talking about Negro, it's from West Africa, not Middle East. He's from North Africa, not the Middle East where the pale Arabs. So he said Abraham is also a Negro by origin, which basically means he is a black man from Shem. That is where Negroland is. A black from Shem, and Shem is actually direct sons of Noah, which was divine, which were Yoruba people. So he's basically from Shem, and his origin, which is better known as Omologo or Iran Omologo, the lineage of the Aniogo Omo, as a black man from West Africa. The book also talks about how Abraham and his people founded everything we know today. When we talk of astrology, when we talk about physics, when we talk about divinity, when we talk about culture, this is why they said the ancient people of Ephraim River founded the world civilization. They are the cradle of civilization. The world just don't want to accept it that Yoruba is the bedrock of the entire civilization you see in the universe. And this is exactly what the book is. They founded civilization, they founded the astronomy, they founded science, physics, everything you can know of or you can point of about history. So for those who may still be doubting, let me give you a clear example of how Ifa actually represented something we know as geography, and that has been like that half a million years ago, even before the European even got out of Babylon, Dark Age. Even before they even received education, the Yorubas has known this thing. They know everything about geography in the entire universe. And that can be seen in the structure of Ifa, which has been their heritage, because the Ifa made us realize certain things about the world even before people start to study it as a subject in school. The Ifa guide made humanity know that the earth was actually flat. This same Ifa structure basically also made us know that the earth was surrounded by water. This Ifa also made us know that the world actually was divided into 4 hemispheres: 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, northeast, southwest, and the middle center. This Ifa also made us to know the exact way on how the world is being evolved, everything, and even the one, as in the structure of Ifa itself. There is a reason why the Almighty says so. And these are 1,000 years legacies of the Yoruba. So when the book of Agins is basically saying these people of the Ephraim, the Chaldean, founded what we know about education collectively, they are referring to some of these factors that has been existent. Even the world start to go to school, even the world start to learn anything about education. The Yoruba people have known all these thousands of years, and it came from this Abraham, which is Orunmila, the founding father of all tradition in the entire universe, as if Allah. So Orunmila is not from Middle East, it's not from North Africa, it's basically from West Africa. Like he said, Abraham in Genesis, Abraham, the son of Hebrew. We know Hebrew from Eberakos was actually the son of Eve. Orunmila, Omoleife. That was how Genesis described it. He is still identifying with Orunmila from the same West Africa. Omologo, Omo Ife, Omo Alasha, Tulide, Chaldean, Omo. So everything evolves around this same tribe in West Africa. But people should not misquote me, because some might actually try to twist my word. What you should also understand is that I'm not trying to say that Abraham doesn't have anything to do with North Africa. No. Abraham, like apart from Abraham, before Abraham and after Abraham, we know different history that Yoruba people had scattered migration from Ile-Ife and Oyo to dominate different corners of Africa in antiquity. And you can see that some of them were even enslaved during the Assyrian Empire around 612 BC, before they came back to West Africa. We know of some too that were also enslaved in Egypt too, under the Pharaoh, the son of Seth, the Ramsey too. We can also talk about the one in Biobako in 1955 studies in page 3 to 18, or should we talk about the Dake Lange 1995 of page 40 to 48, a German a German anthropology and historian, which did a comparative research studies about the comparison between the dynamic traditions of the Oyo people and the near Middle Eastern and from the Phoenicians and co, which basically concluded in his own research that the Yoruba people basically influenced from Oyo, they influence most culture over there. Where do you actually think the Shanghai Empire from Shanghai Empire from China come from? Shanghai is in reference to Shango Lukoso, which is from Oyo. The oldest bone in the entire world, which is Igi Shango, is in reference to Shango Lukoso, again from Oyo, that was founded at the border of Tanzania to Congo. So the Yoruba people from Oyo, like it is said in this book of this German anthropology, from Oyo, they influence many things in West Africa and in North Africa, now beyond West Africa. So likewise that Chaldean is naturally bound to be found in those places, and you can see that Abraham too was actually ordained to leave that places where he was giving birth to go back to the land of his roots, which which what did they call it? Igise. In Yoruba, they said Orunmila migrated from Okegeti to Oketase. Okegeti, me personally, I don't it as Okegesi because Gesi is a foreign land. I'm sorry if my Yoruba traditional don't find it offensive. That is what I can come up with in terms of realistic of what did happen. You might have, and this Okegeti, there has been a debate. Some say the original Okegeti is at Ekiti. So but what we can't tell, because Orunmila visited so many places before he eventually settled at Ile-Ife, and he came all the way from North Africa. So we know for a fact that your tradition and Ife, it did influence many North African culture, and like we can see it all over across many accounts from early anthropologists and historians, and this is what they don't tell you about the Chaldeans. So the Chaldeans are not people of Middle East, they are not people of North Africa, they are actually West Africa, and they are basically part of the early Yoruba people that left Ile-Ife to found the Nubian kingdom, then stretch out in domination to Northeast Africa before the whole saga of invasion forced them back to West Africa in reverse migration thousands of years later. So that is where we shall come to an end. That is what Chaldee or Chaldean basically mean from the indigenous view of it in Africa, with the concerned people of the Hebrew history. Because when we talk about Hebrew history, the Torah history, are talking about the Yoruba people and their family likes across them, the Nukwe, the Jukun, the Gala, the Bini, the Gadangbe. They are all family that migrated back to West Africa, and they are directly or indirectly related to each other. That is for a fact. I will see you in my next video. Make your comment known below respectively. I will see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye for now.